Yes, guys, so let's cover this beautiful traditional marriage cake together. Now, the first thing I want to do is, or rather, the first thing I did was to understand the kind of design I want to bring out. So, from the design, we determine the way I will cover this cake. Now, the first thing I did here was to cover the top of this. Now, after covering the top, then I had to start covering the side, where after measuring the length and the breadth, then I covered the side. But here, I made sure that each of the fondants I'm using to cover the side is a little bit taller than the cake itself. And now the reason for doing this is just because of the kind of design I want to achieve. So that was why I went on with that. Then now you can see I'm trimming some of the excess from the fondant I just used in covering some of the sides. One thing you have to understand as a baker is this, that before you embark on a journey to design a particular cake, you should have the picture of the cake in mind. It makes it easy when you want to start designing. Other than not even knowing the kind of design you want to achieve, you just bumped into the cake, start designing. Before you know what's happening, you're making errors upon errors, trying to fit this, trying to change this, trying to touch this. So that makes it easy alone. Now you can see, so I added my edible glue on the side of the cake, the fondant, so that the other batch of the fondant I want to use to cover the other side stick better. So you can see, so after doing this now, take note that I've not trimmed any of the sides. I decided to cover it this way. I've not trimmed any of the sides, and I'll be doing that shortly. So the next thing is, you can see here I'm trimming the SS, so that I can achieve what I want. Remember, I said from the initial, I want the fondant on the side of the cake to be taller than the main cake itself. You can see the way it is, right? Because of the kind of design I want to achieve. Now, one thing I've seen some people is they see a particular cake design, they don't even want to study the cake so that they will know how to go about it. They just jump in and start designing the cake without understanding how this cake looks, the structure, the fittings, and every other thing about the cake. And this is why I keep saying that understanding a cake design is halfway to covering that cake, is halfway to achieving that design. Now, in the midst of you, if you have understood a particular design that you want to do, that is the point where you can be creative. That is the point where you can decide to say, okay, I can decide to add this, I can decide to remove this, I can decide to change this concept. Okay, I can decide to bring a new concept out of this concept I'm looking at. You understand? Now it makes it more easy other than not even understanding design, and you just start working on it. Before you know what's happening, you are trying to clean this, and this is a white cake, you're trying to a white fondant, and you're trying to clean this, you're trying to make do of this. Before you know what's happening, your cake becomes dirty, everything you're doing becomes dirty, the fittings is not there, the final finishing, nothing is making sense. Before you know what's happening, you'll be feeling as if you don't know. Actually the mistake comes from you because you did not take your time, calm down, understand this cake design, understand the structure, understand what this cake needs. Do you need extra work? Do you need extra finishing? Do you need extra things that will be added to the cake, to the design, to make it come out beautiful? Now these are errors that some of we bakers make, and you understand. Now it's not as if probably we don't know how to do these things, but because we fail to study the design. Studying the design makes it easy. Study the design makes it easy for you to flow. You understand? Now at this point now, you can see I just trimmed some of the excess on the side. You understand? Trying to make some fitting to bring out the sharp edge from the square. Bringing out sharp edge from square is quite different from bringing out sharp edge from a round cake. You understand? Now a round cake, now depending on the size, you can just decide to flip over, and before you know what's happening, your sharp edge can come up, or you decide to still leave it standing, then trim it from the top, you understand, using your board and the rest. You understand? So it just depends. Your own is any way you can achieve a particular thing, the best way that is easy for you, and you achieve the result you want. Why not use that best way as your best way? You understand? And as long as it's giving you results, you understand, you don't change what works, except it stop working. That's when you can decide to say, okay, you want to change it. You understand? So now you can see I'm adding glue also, because I want to do the final batch, the final side with fondant. So you can see, so after adding it now, I decide to take it easy to glue them together. You understand? Now one thing you have to understand is, I've been so careful with this cake, I've been so careful so that I can achieve what I want. So some cakes are not meant to be rushed. Some cake are meant to take it gradually to bring out the beauty you want. You understand? It's not about a rush. That is why I personally don't like some kind of best stock cake where you be rushing. You want the cake tomorrow, you be booking for the cake to stay. You understand? So we want a cake that you give time so that we can decide to take our time to bring out beauty out of that cake. You understand? Because every cake to us is an artwork. Every cake to us, what it, and no matter how small the cake is, we take our time to make sure we bring out beauty. No matter how the cake looks, no matter the size, the length, the breadth, we just want this cake to be beautiful. That's the goal. Now you can see right here, I'm done trimming up the side of this cake. Now for the top of this cake, I've not touched it yet. Now you can see. Now let's watch this beauty. Now let's look at the final. Look at where I'm heading to. You can see the way this is, right? It is that same cake, but you can see the way it turns out, how beautiful it's looking. You can see how elegant it's looking. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned. Bye.